Tuesday morning, 7:37 a.m. For the people of southern Mindanao, it was supposed to be just another ordinary start to the week. Mothers were packing lunchboxes for their children. Jeepney drivers were shouting for passengers along the busy highways of Davao City, and corporate workers in General Santos City were just turning on their office computers. Nobody, absolutely nobody, knew that beneath the calm blue waters of the Celebes Sea, a monstrous prehistoric tectonic force was about to tear their world apart. Suddenly, the ground didn't just shake, it violently buckled. A catastrophic, terrifying magnitude 7.8 earthquake ripped through the earth with an unholy fury. Within 37 seconds, massive concrete highways split open like pieces of paper. High-rise buildings swayed so violently that they looked like trees caught in a Category 5 typhoon. The sheer raw energy released from the epicenter was incomprehensible. As we dive deep into the horrifying details of this ongoing national crisis, updates are still flooding in from the ground. If you want to stay informed with real-time, verified breaking news reports from disaster zones across the globe, please take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. Your support helps us keep the world documented. Thank you. Now, let us look at the terrifying science behind this nightmare. Seismologists and geophysicists from PHIVOLCS later identified the epicenter offshore Sarangani province, confirming the rupture occurred at a depth of approximately 33 kilometers beneath the ocean floor. The culprit? A massive thrust faulting along a north-south striking, westward-dipping fault system tightly connected to the notorious Cotabato Trench. For those who don't know, the Cotabato Trench is one of the most seismically active, unpredictable, and dangerous underwater structures in the entire Philippine archipelago. And on this fateful morning, that sleeping giant woke up with devastating efficiency. The shock waves traveled upward through the deep ocean column and slammed into the crust of southern Mindanao. The initial reports were pure, unadulterated chaos. Power grids across 4 provinces exploded in blinding blue flashes, instantly cutting off electricity to millions of homes. Mobile phone networks collapsed entirely, leaving families unable to call their loved ones. In the first few hours, emergency broadcast channels estimated the death toll at 15. But as the choking dust began to settle, and as brave rescue teams finally breached the initial impact zones, that number began to climb steadily, hour by hour. By late evening, official government sources confirmed at least 32 deaths, with over 200 individuals severely injured. The vast majority of these early casualties were concentrated in the dense urban center of General Santos City, where heavy structural collapses trapped victims instantly. As darkness fell over Mindanao, the true scale of the horror became undeniable. 12 people remained officially listed as missing, but local emergency coordinators openly admitted a darker truth. The actual number of unaccounted individuals in isolated mountain villages and coastal settlements could be hundreds higher. Landslides have blocked off major provincial roads, leaving entire communities completely cut off from medical aid. Thousands of terrified, weeping villagers have been forced to flee their cracked homes, carrying nothing but blankets and crying children into makeshift evacuation centers set up by the Department of Social Welfare and Development. The physical destruction is so vast, it covers 4 massive administrative regions: Region 9, Region 11, Region 12, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Bridges have literally snapped in half, and main water pipelines have burst, flooding the cracked streets with muddy water. Let's look closely at General Santos City, the absolute ground zero of this disaster. A multi-story commercial building housing a highly popular crowded Jollibee restaurant and the active studios of Love Radio collapsed entirely into a chaotic mountain of twisted rebar and pulverized concrete. The entire structure pancaked down within seconds, throwing thick clouds of white dust across the surrounding busy intersection. Passers-by screamed in terror as the walls caved in. Tanguys. This is an absolute nightmare. Imagine sitting at a table or broadcasting a live radio show, and the next second, the ceiling drops on you. Just a few blocks away, a major donation distribution center was completely flattened, destroying emergency supplies that were meant for charity. In the nearby municipality of Mindanao, A prominent high school suffered total structural failure, its heavy concrete roof crashing down into classrooms. But the most heartbreaking, desperate scenes unfolded at St. Elizabeth Hospital. The initial 7.8 tremor shook the medical facility so violently that its structural integrity was severely compromised. Cracks shot up the walls of the intensive care units. Doctors and nurses had no choice but to execute an immediate mass evacuation. Imagine the panic patients on life support, individuals fresh out of surgery, and crying newborn babies all being wheeled out onto the streets. Right now, as aftershocks continue to rock the pavement, desperate medical teams are treating severe trauma casualties in temporary makeshift open-air tents set up on the hospital lawns, working frantically under the dim light of flashlights and phone screens. Oh Lord, my gosh, come on now. The initial earthquake was just the first act of this tragedy. The earth beneath Mindanao refused to rest. In the grueling 12 hours that followed the main shock, PHIVOLCS recorded a staggering 138 aftershocks. This wasn't minor trembling. The magnitudes ranged from a noticeable 1.3 to a terrifyingly high 6.7. The largest aftershock, a massive 6.5 on the Richter scale, struck exactly 2 hours after the initial disaster, precisely when people were cautiously creeping back into their homes to salvage whatever valuables they could find. The psychological torture on the population is immense. Each loud rumble from the ground sends thousands of traumatized residents running back into the middle of the streets, screaming and praying. Structural safety engineers have issued a desperate life-or-death warning to the public. Any building that survived the 7.8 quake has been critically weakened. A strong 6.5 aftershock is more than enough to bring those fractured structures crashing down. People are being begged to stay away from any home or commercial building that shows visible deformation or cracks. But while people were looking at the shaking buildings, a second deadlier threat was mounting from the ocean. The violent vertical displacement of the seafloor had pushed millions of tons of water upward. The tsunami component of this disaster began to unfold in terrifying parallel. Suddenly, tidal gauges recorded massive rapid ocean water regressions along the southern coasts. Then came the waves. Powerful tsunami surges measuring up to 1.44 meters high slammed into the coastlines of Sarangani, Sultan Kudarat, Davao Oriental, Zamboanga City, and Surigao del Sur. Lord Jesus, protect them. The Coast Guard District Southeastern Mindanao moved into emergency status, ordering an immediate and total suspension of all maritime operations. Every single fishing boat, passenger ferry, and commercial cargo vessel was locked down at port. In a vulnerable coastal village in Zamboanga del Sur, traditional wooden stilt houses built over the water stood absolutely no chance. The sudden, violent surge of the ocean snapped the wooden foundations, washing entire homes out into the dark sea. The terrifying tsunami warning stayed active for 5 agonizing hours before the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center announced that the immediate energy had finally subsided. But look at the global map. This wasn't just a local disaster. The undersea energy release was so massive that tsunami alerts flashed across a wide geographic arc of Asia. Indonesia's BMKG agency instantly activated red alerts for the Maluku Islands, Sulawesi, and Borneo. Japan's meteorological agency put its southern islands on high watch, while emergency alerts reached Palau, Taiwan, Papua New Guinea, and parts of coastal Malaysia. Smaller, irregular waves were actually detected as far away as southern Japan, proving to the entire world the terrifying reach of the Cotabato Trench. The sheer scale of this geographic destruction has forced the national government into a state of absolute emergency. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. immediately canceled classes at all levels nationwide and ordered every single national disaster response agency to mobilize with maximum urgency. In a solemn, televised address to the nation, the president looked into the camera and stated firmly, "The national government will not abandon Mindanao in its hour of need." But saying it is one thing, executing it is a logistical nightmare. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council is trying to coordinate complex search, rescue, and medical evacuation operations across multiple provinces simultaneously. But how do you send heavy rescue machinery when the main bridges have collapsed into rivers? How do you send medical supplies when the roads are blocked by massive boulders from landslides? Inside the Philippine Senate, a fierce, passionate call for an all-hands-on-deck response has broken out. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian took to the podium, publicly demanding that the DSWD, the military, and local government units accelerate their search and rescue efforts before the critical 4-8-hour survival window closes forever. Lawmakers are demanding immediate, mandatory structural integrity inspections of every school, hospital, and public building across the southern islands. Furthermore, multiple senators have raised dark, urgent concerns regarding the readiness and capacity of provincial hospitals, which are already overwhelmed, running low on blood bags, and lacking surgical supplies to handle the massive influx of casualties. In a powerful move of interprovincial unity, the Cebu Provincial Board held an emergency session and unanimously approved 10 million pesos in direct financial assistance, sending the funds straight to the local government of General Santos City to help manage the frontline medical chaos. As the sun slowly rises over a battered, smoking landscape, the southern Philippines looks like a war zone. In the municipalities of Sarangani, Maitam, Maasim, Alabel, and Malungon, all local government offices and commercial businesses have been suspended indefinitely. In Cagayan de Oro, strict orders have been issued. No employee or citizen is allowed back inside any public building until structural engineers sign off on its safety. Meanwhile, the sky over General Santos International Airport remains completely silent. The airport has been closed to all commercial flights. Runway safety teams and structural engineers are working under high stress, inspecting deep visible cracks along the main tarmac and terminal buildings. The gateway to the region is effectively cut off. As we look at these images of destruction, we must remember that behind every statistic, behind every number, there is a human life. There is a father digging through the rubble of the Jollibee building with his bare hands, desperately searching for his daughter. There is a mother sitting in a crowded evacuation center, wondering if her home will ever be safe again. The physical structures of Mindanao may be broken, but the legendary resilience and unyielding faith of the Filipino people remain absolutely undefeated. They will rebuild. They always do. But this tragedy brings forward a massive, terrifying question that we all must face. As the Pacific Ring of Fire grows increasingly violent in 2026, are our modern megacities truly prepared for the inevitable big one, or are we just living on borrowed time? What are your honest thoughts on the speed of the government's response to this M7-8 catastrophe? What can be done to better protect our coastal and urban communities from underwater fault lines? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to leave a like on this video, share it to spread awareness, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you never miss another crucial breaking news documentary. Please keep the victims of Mindanao in your thoughts and prayers. Stay safe, stay prepared, and we will see you in the next urgent update. Goodbye.